Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. I am sure we are going to have a very small group jumping on live today. It is crunch time. We are crazy, crazy busy in the salon, getting in all those last minute people. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. So, Merry Christmas Kwanzaa. We have people from all over the world that join in here, so everyone celebrates differently. So I always say happy holidays just to be safe. You never know, especially these days. Everyone's uber sensitive. So I woke up early this morning and I wanted to create an actual professionally curated PowerPoint presentation with photographs that I wanted to share. Last week, I thought it was really fun to be able to look at an actual scenario of someone's hair, what would I do? What would you do? Kind of thing. And it's hard to, you saw me struggling with holding my phone up with the glare and everything, but I need to use a third-party application to be able to share the PowerPoint, and it just was not cooperating this morning. So I'm going to share it, but the good old school hold it up. I put it on my iPad. Hopefully it'll be a little larger for you. So today I wanted to talk about, last week we talked about unrealistic expectations of clients with covering their gray, lightening their overall base, and asking for the impossible. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I lovingly call blonderexia. The client who starts out with the most beautiful natural highlights. It suits her skin tone, her makeup, everything is just on point and beautiful. It grows out effortlessly and so naturally. And then someone says, oh, you should go blonder, or her boyfriend or her husband or someone in her world says, you would make a really great, brighter blonde. You should go blonder. And then the next time she goes a little bit lighter, and then the next time she wants to be lighter. And this creates this whole cycle of super high maintenance hamster wheel that then, all of a sudden the budget is a concern. They want the impossible. They want the lighter, brighter blonde, but they don't want the price tag that comes with it. So I wanted to share a journey of when I first moved here to Florida. I was doing live models in a suite. I was sharing a suite, as most of you know, with another person. I had the suite 3 days a week. And I rented the suite to be able to do before and after videos for content for my online course, not to build a clientele here in Florida. So I put a post on one of the neighborhood Facebook groups saying, who wants free hair color? Totally free. All I ask is that I have permission to use the content in my online courses. So of course I got a lot of volunteers. Sorry, my voice is not awake today. Hang on. So my first model that I did, when I met her, she had her natural hair with very grown out, but very soft, natural looking, beautiful, older highlights. And this is her there. So you can see her natural level. Sorry, I don't know why that glare happens. It like shows me and my computer back to me. I don't know why. So her name is Taylor. She looks deeper in this photo, but she's like a level 6. She's got the nice light eyebrows, and she was just looking dingy and dull and needed a little pick-me-up. You can see the old highlights down here in her hair that were still in there, but she just kind of let it grow out. She's not a high maintenance kind of girl. So the beauty of her and her visit was she said, I'm up for anything. You can do whatever you want. So I wanted to showcase the technique that I absolutely love, that I do a lot and also teach in all of my courses, that I call bullshit balayage. Fine hair like Taylor's is extremely, well, maybe that makes it bigger, is extremely tricky to balayage because the brush wants to kind of poke through the hair and go down to the other layers and not just sit on the top. So I find fine hair to be a struggle when I'm painting. So I always revert back to my safety net of foils. But the beauty of the bullshit balayage technique is you get the look of balayage with the safety and the predictability of a foil service. It's all in how you place it and the different weaves and different placements that you do. So that was her before. She said, do whatever you want. I'm like, I want her to be really blonde, but maintenance-free blonde. There is a difference. So the title of this coffee chat is blonder always better? People always think, oh, if I just do it blonder, it's going to be so much better. I personally say no, blonder is not always better, and most times is not better, and you'll see why. So this was her the day that we did her bullshit balayage service. So this photo here is after the foils, after all of the lightning service, prior to the glaze. And I wanted to show that because a lot of people will write on the forums, you know, what is a root shadow? What is a glaze? Why a glaze? What does a glaze do? And a lot of people are getting confused and they're glazing with permanent color. So what's going to happen with a permanent color is all of the natural hair that's left in Taylor's hair after that service is going to get brassy because the permanent color is going to try to lift it. So this was her blonde after the glaze, and that was in really good lighting with a ring light. She's posing for it. She took the picture and sent it to me. It looks great. This is the picture in my suite, which is why I'm no longer in my suite. The lighting was awful. It was fluorescent lighting. It made everybody look mad yellow, no matter how pale I made them in person. Out in the sun was beautiful and pale, but in photographs, there's my little color wheel tattoo. If anybody wants a color wheel tattoo, DM me, I'll send you one in the mail. They're fun just for the photos. I like to make it like that's my work because that's my signature, the color wheel tattoo, kind of like a watermark. Why is that light showing up? There we go. So that is the same exact time as that other picture that was done with the ring light and better lighting. And I'm sharing this because we all beat ourselves up when we see other people's Pinterest pictures and Instagram pictures. Like, I was proud of that until she sent me that. Oops, never mind, this way. Until she sent me that. And I was like, oh, I want to post that. That looks so much better. But it was, she's a makeup artist. She did her makeup. She was, you know, right in front of a mirror with lights. She had a ring light propped the perfect way. She knows exactly how to capture the perfect picture. She's spreading her hair out, making it look a lot more beefy and full than it actually is in real life. And then this picture is literally 6 months later. Look how amazing that grew out. Like, yeah, she has regrowth. You can see her natural, but it's seamless. There's no harsh line. There's no, oh girl, you got to go to the hairdresser. Like, she still looked amazing. And this is where we all make ourselves crazy. These new techniques are amazing, how they let the hair be future-proof and lived in and just awesome as far as the grow out. But we're used to seeing our clients every 12 weeks at the max for highlights. So even though I know better and I've been doing these techniques, when I didn't hear from her, I did her hair in February. So that last photograph that I showed you was May. So when I didn't hear from her from February, I was like, this is the story I was telling myself. Oh my God, she hated it. She was just telling me that she loved it, but she hated it. And then I start stalking her Facebook to see what does her hair look like. And I found that picture. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, your hair looks great. Did you have something done since I've seen you? And she's like, no, this is still your color. So I was like, oh. So I'm sharing that with you because you're probably doing the same thing. You start to look at your book and you're like, where's Sally? She should be here by now because you're used to her being there with traditional foil highlights up to the scalp, like noodles out of the skull, the way they were in the first picture before the root shadow. So you see the difference between if I send her home with no root shadow and no glaze, that's what her highlights would look like. And it's fine and it's pretty, but it would not grow out the way that this did. It would look like little noodles that are detached and need something, and she would need some sort of upkeep. So we need to shift what we're doing and how we're doing it because of these new techniques. Is it wonderful that they get to have, you know, all those months maintenance free? It's wonderful for the guest, but we have to realize as busy colorists, we're not going to be quite so busy anymore. So people that turn their nose up to the gray hair client that's every 4 weeks, I hear it and see it all the time. Ugh, so boring, gray coverage. Guess what? That gray coverage pays your bills. That's your mortgage right there. They have to come. They're going to get that, you know, railroad track of white down their scalp, and they have no choice but to come see you. They are more loyal. They're going to have more frequent visits. So it's fun to do the, you know, Victoria's Secret Pinterest worthy things. It's fun, but you need to make sure that you're building into your pricing the longevity factor, and you have to make sure that you tell the client that. So Taylor, when she came to me, she's young. She does one of those MLM makeup companies. That's her only job. She sells makeup. She has people under her, the whole nine. So she doesn't have a big budget. So she was thrilled to get her hair for free and said, do whatever you want, because she's like, I'm so happy I'm getting free color. So I did not cut her. Her hair, as you can see, is really long. So it took about 4.5 hours. And by the time we did, you know, I curled her hair and did photographs, we put her little tattoo on. I spent about 5 hours with her. So she's over at the mirror and doing the client zhuzh, you know, where they're like, the lips start going when they're looking at themselves. She's loving herself. And I say, I'm new to Florida. I came from, you know, a very affluent area of outside Center City, Philadelphia, and I was able to charge really nice prices in my area. So I'm not sure what the deal is here in Florida. So, you know, I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. I know you're getting your hair done free. I'm not trying to make you feel bad about it. I just want to know, if you were to come see me here in my suite and you came again to touch this up, what would you feel is a fair price to pay for what we just did? Now, granted, 5 hours, okay? 5 hours total spent with her. I think definitely 100, but with a cut. And I was like, I'm sorry, excuse me? Did you just say 100 with a cut? So where I came from, the haircut is $82. So right there, you're at 100 with an $82 haircut and a tip with no color. 5 hours with me is $100 an hour. So we're talking $582 versus 100 with a cut. So I was like, oh, wow, Dorothy, you are not in Kansas anymore. Like, I am not going to be doing hair here, because I've worked for 33 years to get to the point where I can charge $100 an hour, because I'm very educated in color. I have a lot of experience. I don't have to keep cutting my prices to make everybody like me and come to me. I consider myself very experienced and a corrective expert, which is very rare. Most people run for the hills when they see a correction coming. So I was like, oh, wow. So this happens to all of you. You know, you have an idea in your head of the price that you think that you should charge. And then you think, you know, of course, $500 for her, I would feel badly charging that even now after all these years. But the point is, no matter what the age of the client is, no matter what their financial situation, that's not my business. That's none of my business. I can't judge for them. If they choose to be in my chair and these are my prices, these are my prices. So back to Taylor and her hair journey. So I look at that picture from May and I'm like, holy crap, that's amazing. And I posted it on my Facebook and said, guys, look at this. This is, you know, months later. This is February to May, and it looks, she could go to an event and look like she just stepped out of the salon. It looked amazing. So then I hadn't heard from her in a while, and I'm having a retreat here in Florida. So I said, hey, if you can hold off a little longer, I would love to use you as a model in my retreat for my textural highlight technique. Your hair is the perfect texture. It's really fine, but you like a lot of blonde and you're a really good candidate for that. And she was like, oh, that sounds great. So, you know, we lose touch over, you know, time, and I don't hear from her. And then I'm scrolling Facebook and I see this and my heart just drops. It's like, such a great content for this talk, because this is exactly what happens to all of us. So this comes across my feed. This is our girlfriend with this peachy, pinky, vivid hair. Now you can see that a lot of her natural is still in there. So she did this herself. So of course, when she put the Vivid color on there, it didn't do much to the root area. It's a little bit stained at the root area, like maybe around the hairline where she has that natural baby fine blonde hair. But where all the pink and peach is where the blonde remained after all this time. Like no new fresh highlights since I did them in February. And this is what the Vivid color looked like. So I'm thinking, okay, color depositing shampoo, hopefully. Maybe she just wanted to put a toe in it. Maybe, you know, no big deal. It's not going to be lasting. I'll be able to, by the time I see her in February, it'll be gone. And then this happens. She's like, guys, guess what color I'm going to do my hair next? And she does the whole entire thing, this like deeper purple. And I didn't love it with her skin tone. It didn't match her skin or makeup, anything. It was very harsh. So I'm like, okay, now we're talking like she is not going to be a good candidate for February because she's going to be majorly corrective. God only knows. This could be manic panic. It could be, you know, something off the shelf in Spencer's that has like carpet dyes in it. Like who only knows what she used in there. So I was like, oh God. And then at one point she was green for Halloween. Like she just kept changing it. And I'm like, people don't understand that it's not temporary when it's over top of blonde. So we can scream to the high heavens about it and they're never going to get it. So she was that peachy pink, she was green, then she was purple. And then I see her post this after her Thanksgiving visit home. And she's talking about her hairstylist. I forget her name, but she's like, Jill's amazing. She always saves my butt. I got carried away with coloring it myself and she fixed me right up. So this to me is a perfect example of when blonder is not better. Like in my opinion, and you guys all may have a different opinion, you may love this, but I see this and I see a big ball of cotton. It doesn't look like pretty hair anymore. It's very cotton-like, very dry, very porous, very compromised. There's a little bit of warmth in areas that didn't lighten as much. And it changes her whole entire look. I want to take you back to this. I wish I could do them side by side, but like that looks beautiful with her skin tone. Her makeup is on point. Like it's beautiful. This is just my opinion. This is the kind of colorist that I am. I love nature only better. Like play up your traits. Like that's bold and sexy and, you know, a big change, but it's still soft and pretty. And it doesn't have that whole head of cotton type look to it. So what happens is, you know, the hairdresser that she went into and sees all this purple, she, like many of us, first of all, she comes in and the hairdresser hasn't seen her since she moved to Florida. So when she left, she was that first color, you know, natural hair, old highlights, growing out, easy peasy. So the stylist probably put her on the book for 45 minutes, right? She's like, oh, I haven't seen her. She needs a color touch. She needs a highlight touch up, 45 minutes. She walks in with that purple. So the purple in that photo is roots to ends. Now I know that Taylor did not get the whole thing bleached. So I'm amazed that she even got the purple to show up from roots to ends, but whatever she did, it was that strong that it actually tinted her regrowth area. So this is what happens in the salon for most of you. You see that and you're like, oh crap, I got to do fast. Fast is bleach. So she slapped bleach on the whole entire head in a bleach bath. Don't get me started about that. I am not a proponent of the bleach wash at the sink. So she put bleach on and, you know, continued to probably do multiple applications. The middle picture is what she got her to getting the purple out. But look at what happened. She didn't have blonde hair under. All of this area up top was her natural. And then they put the bleach on. So now there's two different colors of the lightening of the blonde in the middle. Look at how compromised those ends are because they had all of my color from February from here down. So you're putting bleach on top of existing bleach highlights. And then, you know, the end result is not awful, but that to me is just like that, what's her name? The guest girl that went crazy and Anna Nicole Smith, that like roots to ends bleach, super high maintenance, retouch every 3 weeks. If you're lucky, you make it to 3 weeks. So now this young girl who doesn't have a big budget is back in Florida with that color. And because she's not a hairdresser, she's not going to realize that as that grows out, it's something as simple as doing a root shadow and glaze every few months to keep it more natural looking rather than continue to bleach it. So it's just looking at things from a different perspective and not getting that like instant panic of let me throw bleach on it. There's a million other things that could have happened there. She could have tried Malibu CPR or Quick Fix or one of those things. There's all kinds of tricks with using a demi-clear to remove vivids. I've seen that on some of the forums. Like people have all these ways of just lifting off the vivids without going and bleaching out that entire head. So one other thing that I wanted to share, because you know, you guys, I always go long because I could talk all day about hair color. But one other thing to share is the difference between a root shadow and a base bump. So someone on a forum yesterday showed a picture and she was like, what did I do wrong? I did a root shadow with 6AA and look at it. And what color do you think it was? If I did a root shadow right now with my level base and I said, oh, I'm just gonna bump the base, I'm just gonna put that on for a couple of minutes, and I used a 6AA, I wanna see some of your answers of what you think that would look like. Just a quick on and off base bump with a 6AA, meaning 6 double ash, permanent color. Am I on a delay or is nobody playing in my reindeer games today? Come on, I even wore red for you guys. I own one piece of red clothing and I pulled it out because this is our last chat before Christmas. I'm obviously not going to be coffee chatting on Christmas morning and you guys aren't going to care to listen to me on Christmas morning. So I want it to be festive today. Ashley said a copper red, Karen said warmth, Chelsea said red, Jennifer said orange, Kim said green. I'm interested in why you're saying green on my base, not on the highlights. On the highlights it might be green, but on the base. Stacy said muddy green brown, Sidra red orange, lives at 6. Anne said it probably looked very warm because it only had time to lift, not deposit. Yep. So that's what happened. So this person was so shocked because she probably learned about doing a root shadow watching somebody's Instagram video. So things taken out of context. Nobody is more of a proponent of online education than me because that's what I do for a living. So I'm happy that people have embraced education. But if you're not in an actual course or class and being explained every single step as to the why of what's going on, if I were to say to you, okay, 6AA, 20 volume, get it on, get it off, bum, 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 you're going to not know why and not know, you know, why that, not this. So in my opinion, a root shadow should never be done with permanent color. If you want to blend gray at the root and lighten the root and you want to do a root retouch and do that as your root area, but a root shadow, the whole purpose of a shadow is when you place highlights in and you put them up to the skull, you make them where they're growing out of the skull, they're that attached all the way to the base, and you have all these little white noodles coming out of your head. The root shadow is, the purpose of it is to soften it and blend it down and make it less harsh. So the reason that Taylor was able to go so long in between is because this is hard to explain, but I hope that I'm able to articulate it. So this first picture where it's the noodles out of the head with no glaze, no shadow, that's the way the highlights look when they're freshly done. So when we root shadow with a demi, a liquid, sheer, acidic demi, examples, Joico Lumi Shine, Minardi Liquid Demi Gloss, Redken Shades EQ, PM Shines, which doesn't exist anymore. It's like they'll call the color or something, but it's in a bottle It's loose and liquid. It is not in a tube cream. You can do a root shadow with a cream color, but it's going to look like a root retouch. Like if you used a Matrix or a L'Oreal or a Redken permanent color, that's how a tube cream alkaline demi is going to appear. It's going to be heavier. You're going to see the line of demarcation. So the key is using a liquid. And what happens is, picture, when you're putting that color onto here, right at that first ½ inch at her roots, you want to formulate a root shadow. This is the scary part. This took me a year to really accept and really do my formulas that way. I was really wimpy when I started doing them, and I always wanted to shadow with a level 9 because I'm like, I just worked for 4 hours to get this blonde in there. I don't want to put a darker level and get rid of it and give her roots, right? That's what you're thinking. So what you want to correctly formulate a root shadow is you want to formulate to her natural level. So Taylor is like a 6-7 natural level. So instead of doing a level 9 root shadow or a level 8, I want to actually use a level 7 on her roots. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, 7, she's going to be almost brown. But it goes back to the math that we talk about in formulation. What's going to happen in this root shadow is you're going to get the in between the two. You're going to get the 7 going on the 9 highlights. 9 and 7 is 16 divided by 2. It's 9 and 7, 16. I'm terrible at math. But you're going to get a higher level because it's the mixture of the two. So you're actually going to create a level 8 there, which is still lighter than her natural. So she's going to have that lighter look, but it's not going to be that harsh line. And then this is what happens. I do the root shadow today. So the regrowth right now today is a little bit deeper than it was 10 minutes ago. And this hair being right up to the root this is freshly done. So this part that I did the Shades EQ on, as this grows down her hair, the Shades EQ is sitting on top of the hair. So it's not penetrating all the way into the cortex, it's sitting on top. So everybody freaks out. They're like, Shades doesn't last. It goes away in so many shampoos or whatever. It's not, I don't find that to be true. What I find to happen is it's a little deep the day of, and then as she shampoos, it's pushing off a little bit at a time so that those highlights look like they're starting up higher because the Shades EQ is sitting on top and now it's not. Does that make sense? So as the highlight grows out, it still looks fresh because it's the highlight minus the Shades EQ. I have such a hard time articulating that, but I hope that that makes sense. I hope it didn't confuse you guys more. So it's basically giving you a fresher look. As it grows out, it's getting fresher and fresher because the blonde that was underneath is starting to appear. So it looks like bright new blonde when really it was there all the time. I hope I didn't confuse you. That's a lot to take in. Kimberly said, how do you get clients used to this look? You mean from the blondorexic blonde? My question is, how the hell do you get used to that look? To me, that's just not a pretty, like, I don't love this at all. Like, that's just, you see how much makeup she has to wear in that picture in order to feel alive? Because this light of a blonde, she has no frame around her face. You don't know where the skin stops and the hair begins. So she has to paint onto her face the contrast and the interest. If she walks around with no makeup on, she's gonna look really tired, really just like, are you okay? Are you sick? Like, it's very hard to pull off that level of blonde. Like, see how much more color she has in her skin, even with the pink. Even more there. And even see how much warmer her skin tone looks with having some contrast. So to Kimberly's point, this look is not for everybody. And the whole point of this entire coffee chat, Kimberly, thank you for bringing that up, because the whole entire reason for me having this conversation is personal opinion and perception. So if a client can only see herself really super blonde, no matter how much I or you tell her that she looks so much prettier with that depth and dimension, she's not going to agree. So this is where, you know, when you see on the forums, everybody's like, look at this message that this client wrote to me and look how me, and every hairdresser's like, girl, break up with her, fire her, you did a banging job. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good you did, and it doesn't matter how great us colorists think it is. It matters that that client is comfortable in her own skin. This girl that I just showed you the picture of, she's like, oh, my girl hooked me up. I feel like myself again. So I'm like, oh, wow. But in the meantime, at that 6-month point, I'm thinking, did she hate what I did? Was it not blonde enough? You know, was she not comfortable with the root shadow? Did I scare her away? Is it that she can't afford to get it done again by me? Like, all these stories are going in my head, as it is in your head. So we all tell ourselves stories about what we think it is. And here's the difference between me and you. I reached out to her. I don't go on a forum and say, oh my God, I did this girl's hair in February and she loved it and I loved it and she hasn't been back. What's wrong with me? No. Me asking you on a forum and getting you to say, you're awesome, you did a great job, screw her, fire her. No. I want to go to the source. And we just did a training in my membership on boundaries, on being your authentic self, speaking your truth. It's amazing. Once you realize the only person you need to communicate with is the person that you have the question about. Getting everybody's opinion in the salon, going to your owner saying, look how amazing this is. It doesn't matter. That's all ego. 100% ego. You just want people to stroke you and tell you how wonderful you are. And it doesn't matter, because if the client didn't like what you did, it doesn't matter if your entire team thinks you're amazing. That client doesn't think you're amazing and you're just not for her. So don't feel like you have to change what you do or how you do it. Just let it go. But I needed to know from her. I reached out and said, hey, I see that, you know, you haven't been here and your hair looks amazing. Did you have something done? I needed to know that. For me to sleep at night, I needed to know that. And she said, no, it's amazing. It grew out so great. I haven't had to do a thing. It wasn't until she started to play with all those crazy vivids that she needed something done. So me knowing that I didn't do anything wrong, that helped me. But me asking you for social proof of how amazing it grew out and like, oh, don't you worry about it, you're awesome. That's going to give me a warm and fuzzy for about 5 minutes. And I'm still going to wonder what happened to the client. So go to the source, speak to the guest. If there's a guest you haven't seen, I had a guest, I did her hair for 30 straight years. Nobody did her hair but me for 30 years. All of a sudden, she wasn't on my book. It bothered me. It probably bothers you too. You're like, 30 years, are you kidding me? You better be dead if you're not coming in. Something better be majorly wrong, or I dropped the ball. So I took it on and I picked up the phone and I called her and I said, hey, I haven't seen you. I've been doing your hair for 30 years. I miss you. Is everything okay? There's nothing wrong with it. You're not looking desperate. People say, oh my God, that's so embarrassing. No, that's showing the person that you've valued that relationship that you had for 30 years. That's only going to be a positive, even if the answer is not what you want to hear. So she answered the phone and she said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you reached out to me. I've been meaning to reach out to you because I feel so bad. Okay, so instantly she's on the, oh God, I'm called to the carpet, which is not my intention. I just wanted to make sure she was okay. She said, remember the last time I was in, I told you that I was retiring. She's like, now that my husband and I are both retired, I love you, I love your salon, I just can't put it in the budget anymore. Meanwhile, she bought a bayfront beach house, but we're not going to talk about that. But people's priorities change. So she wanted the beach house and the retired living more than she wanted the great hair. So we talk about all the time on these chats, most clients don't know the difference between good hair and great hair, and they're okay with average hair. So she said, I just can't afford it anymore, and I wish you well, and I miss you, and I miss our visits. And now I'm okay with it. Now if I run into her in the supermarket or at an event, there's not that weird, like when you break up with a boyfriend and you see them and you're like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like, you know what I'm talking about. When you run into a client in the supermarket and their hair is totally different and they're like dropping shit because they're so flustered that you're seeing that they had their hair done, even though it's been, 9 months, obviously they've had it done. But it just ends all that BS, all that fakeness, all that, oh my, then they start making up stories. Oh, my granddaughter's in beauty school and I felt bad. She needed a guinea pig. Like, they all have a story. So stop having a story, stop hiding, ask the source, give the client your best effort to make it what they want to see. Even if I don't agree with that Q-tip all over cotton blonde, if you insist on it and you want to pay for it, I'll give it to you. But I'll say to you, this is not my thing. This is making me uncomfortable, and I'm happy to do it for you. And I will definitely have them sign my corrective color waiver saying, I asked for this. So that when they go out into the wild and people give them the hairy eyeball, like, what the hell did you do to your hair? I want them to remember that it was their idea, not mine. So there's ways of having a compromise, of giving the client what they want, having the conversation and sharing with them. I think if I sat down that girl right now and showed her her path, she would agree that the original color looks better, but she forgets what that even looked like by now. So there's a lot of psychology that happens in hairdressing, especially color. And I think that I see some of my members are on here, and I think that my members will agree that the Hair Color Secrets Insider membership is not what you thought you were signing up for. It's a lot more than just hair color. It's relationships, it's the emotional intelligence, it's the personality traits, how to get along with other people, how to have difficult conversations, pricing, branding. It's so much more. And if I knew these things in the beginning of my career, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine what I could have avoided. So happy holidays to all of you. I hope that I continue to see you all on these coffee chats. I look so forward to them. I'm going to really miss not being here next week, but I'm telling you, because everybody's going to send me messages, where are you? Because my many chat is still going to say Elaine's going live in 5 minutes because it's an auto send. So ignore that. I'm not going live on Christmas, but I will be back the next Wednesday, happily sharing with all of you. I have a highlighting class. Some of you may or may not have seen it floating around on Facebook pages. I will add the link to that in the comments here if it's not too late to join. We have about 20 spots left. The class is live on January 12th. I'm going to be explaining the difference between a vertical placement, a horizontal placement, a diagonal placement, between doing a weave, doing a baby light, doing slices, back-to-back slices, all the different patterns of highlighting. It's going to be a valuable training. It's very affordable. I will put that link here. And also I think we have like 1 spot left in the Jordan and Elaine collaboration that is about getting new clients in your chair. So if you haven't signed up for that, that link is also on this page. Just scroll down. It says like first time ever, amazing collaboration type thing. Just click that link and sign up. Even if you cannot make the live, please sign up anyway, because I can't send you the replay without you being signed up. So that's your homework. Sign up for the highlighting class, sign up for the free Jordan class, and please enjoy your holidays. Try to forget all about the salon and all about the drama and all about how busy you are, and enjoy your holidays. I've spent many holidays completely destroyed with exhaustion. Make sure you drink water the entire time you work this week. It's easy to stop drinking water and you're dealing with chemicals. Make sure you always have gloves on, protect yourself, sit when you can, have a healthy snack next to you that you can shove in your mouth. I know what these weeks are like. I don't miss them, I have to say. I do not miss being in the salon right now, and I'm going to enjoy my holiday probably for the first time in 33 years. So I love you all, and I will see you soon.